presentation slides are audible. So my topic is spiritual intelligence and its application in the Hindu life and ethical study. Now, if you just reflect on what is intelligence, in general terms, intelligence is the popular sin and is frequently defined as a general mental ability to learn, comprehend complex ideas, reasons, think abstractly, solve problems, as well as the ability to judge and evaluate. Now, it is a kind of research interest amongst researchers, maybe in the field of neuroscience, psychology, education, sociology, or indeed business and commerce. And researchers gradually went into the measurement of this intelligence, which is frequently known as rational intelligence or general intelligence. Now, from this concept development, it has been diversified to emotional intelligence. Many of us have read this book written by Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. And here he has claimed that emotions are much more powerful than rational thinking. And then gradually the measurement has been started, how to measure the emotional intelligence. And with the help of the modern imaging techniques, 10 scientists have been able to establish that our emotional and unconscious brain is far more active than our logical or thinking brain. Estimate shows that up to 6 billion nerve cells are firing in any 1 second in our emotional brain as compared to a meager 100 neuronal stimulations in our logical brain. Moreover, the neuronal connections from our emotional brain to the logical brain and to the rest of our body are far more expensive than such connections originating from the logical brain. Now, the idea and the concept has been much more diversified. Dana Johar coined the term spiritual intelligence and introduced this in 1997 in her book, Rewriting the Corporate Brain. Okay, now what is spiritual intelligence? It is a kind of blend of general intelligence and emotional intelligence. It is an ability to assess higher meanings, values, abiding purposes, and unconscious aspects of the self, and to embed these meanings, values, and purposes in living richer and more creative lives. Now, instead of giving the definitions, which is given far more by Richard Griffiths, where he has included the concept of soul. When a human being is being motivated by the call of his soul, his or her soul, and act accordingly, then we can say that his or her spiritual intelligence has been actually acted. Okay, so finally, according to Dana, spiritual intelligence is the presence of logical intelligence and emotional intelligence. Now, she has developed 12 principles of spiritual intelligence as an academic work. It is self-awareness, that is knowing what I believe in and value and what deeply motivates me. Spontaneity, that is living in and being responsive to the motive. Being vision and value-led, acting from principles and deep beliefs and living accordingly. Holism, seeing larger patterns, relationships and connections, having a sense of belonging. Compassion, having the quality of feeling with and deep empathy. Celebration of diversity, that is valuing other people for their differences, not despite them. Field independence, standing against the crowd and having one's own convictions. Humility, to be a player of a large drama, tendency to ask fundamental why questions, okay, ability to refrain, positive use of adversity, that means converting a negative mode to a positive mode, and sense of vocation, that is feeling called upon to serve, to give something back. Now, these principles are being framed by a Western philosopher and a scientist, and it is a new exploration to them. It is already been nurtured and practiced in Indian scenario since time immemorial. It is basically a kind of act and thinking which is governed by the soul of a human being. When our soul governs logical and emotional intelligence, one's ego is removed from command. Spiritual intelligence is therefore the most valuable personal resource because it puts the soul in. The soul does a much better job than the ego, since the soul is the source of wisdom, compassion, integrity, joy, love, creativity, and peace. Therefore, it explores a human being's full potential and thus transforms the life destiny that would otherwise be created by the ego. Now, as I already mentioned, spiritual intelligence is not a new concept of India. I just like to elaborate why. Okay, the Western world is exploring it recently. Since time immemorial, the Hindu gurus and great teachers were applying this concept during their preaching and teachings to the disciples and students in order to transform them to become a complete human being. Instances of unconscious application of spiritual intelligence are found in common people's behavior and conduct in India. Application of spiritual intelligence in Indian business management has been started and documented in recent times. Now, I give you some examples of the contribution of Hindus, how spiritual intelligence has been exercised and applied by transforming the mind and hearts of their disciples and the students. In Kathopanishad, the Aryan rishis emphasized on Atmanang Vidhi, know yourself. First to discover the divine within and then manifest it without. This keynote rings consistently in all the streams of India's core culture comprising Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. Lord Krishna transmitted positive will force in Arjun's mind in order to fight the Kurukshetra war jealously, while controlling his negative emotions, and his teachings are read worldwide in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Gautam Buddha, he was basically an atheist. Okay, he did not believe the existence of God in true sense, but he also told that just a candle cannot burn without a fire. We cannot live without a spiritual life. In his deathbed in Kushinagar, his disciple Anand, asked him, Tathagata, after you, what will happen to us? To whom to worship? He uttered the eternal words, Atto Deepo Biharata Ananda, Atto Saranabhu. Be your light. Please follow yourself only. You try to be your own leader, own source of inspiration. This ownness to understand yourself is the motto of Gautam Buddha's entire life's work and speech. Sannyasi Upagupta transformed Emperor Ashoka from Chandashok to Dharmashok. He was the disciple of Buddha, and the world has witnessed the example of a leader who had metamorphosed himself. Kautilya, being a celebrated professor of Takshashila University, introduced the concept of Rajarshi, Raja plus Rishi, the sage emperor, in his famous book. According to him, an emperor should be like a sage, having no affection on material wealth, but always being alert to the people's welfare, security, and prosperity. He had successfully applied this philosophy on Chandragupta the first Mauryan dynasty. Kautilya's spiritual pragmatism leaders have been followed by great emperors like Harshavardhana and other dynasties of Palas, Senas, Chols, etc. till 12th century AD. And the legacy continues. In middle age, Guru Ramdas had showed the ways to Chhatrapati Shivaji, ideal ruling principles. Guru taught Shivaji to rule the kingdom as an
Sorry, I lost you. Something happened?